In The Wire, we follow the drug trade of Baltimore from the viewpoint of both the cops and the criminals. Now, as anyone who's seen the show will know, simply calling The Wire a cop show does it a massive disservice and undersells it. The reality is that it's so much more. Though it won no major awards during its run, the show is now lauded as one of the all-time great TV series. Each season of the show introduces a different institution of the city and its relationship to law enforcement and the drug trade, such as the drug trade itself, the port system, the city's government, the education system, and the print news. As one character in the show remarks, all the pieces matter. And when it all comes together, The Wire shows us, through its realistic portrayal of police procedure and urban inner city life, its heavy themes and cynical look at the never-ending cycle of the drug trade, just why it is considered by many to be the best television show in history. But The Wire has never been without its issues behind the scenes. The creators of the show, David Simon, former police reporter for the Baltimore Sun, and Ed Burns, former homicide detective, sought to air their grievances and frustrations of the respective bureaucracies each had to deal with in their previous professions through the show. Simon had come into conflict in the past with NBC network executives for his show Homicide: Life on the Street, as they were displeased with the show's pessimism. But taking The Wire to HBO was not without its problems either, as a lack of following actually caused the show to be cancelled after 3 seasons. It was then very nearly cancelled after the 4th season, with David Simon going on record to say he had to grovel and beg and plead for another season to be greenlit. It sounds crazy now, when The Wire seems to be one of HBO's flagship shows. I mean, imagine The Sopranos having to continue its run with the show creators constantly having to battle the idea that each new season will be the show's last. In fact, we would have actually gotten more of The Wire if the show was more popular. Simon pitched a sister show about the city hall politics, but the lack of popularity of The Wire meant it did not get greenlit. You always hear stories about The Wire on the brink of cancellation, with Simon in constant combat mode to keep the show alive. Now, The Wire is an incredibly deep and layered show from a sociological perspective, but also when looking at the complex characters in the series and the relationships between them. It is not your average police drama, nor your average gangster show. In fact, the police only ever fire their guns 3 times in the show, and each time it's the same cop, Officer Roland Presbeluski, and each time it's a blunder. Imagine trying to get someone you know to watch The Wire. How exactly would you sell it to them? Telling them the cops only fire their guns 3 times makes it sound like the most boring show on earth. And it's easy to see why some people would just not get into the show. The first season is very procedural. The second takes a wild turn by shifting focus to the dock workers. The Wire is not a show that clings to formulaic phenomena, such as cliffhangers and plot twists to keep you engaged. It's like it doesn't care if you stop watching, but those that see it through are adequately rewarded. The point I'm making is that The Wire is, as stated, so much more than a cop show, and this brings me to a curious little scene in season 4 of The Wire when Cutty is in hospital recovering from a gunshot wound. The guy in the bed next to him is watching the HBO show Deadwood. It is an amusing little Easter egg, given the 2 shows are HBO titled, and at a point, both shows were live at the same time. Now, at face value, it's a harmless little amusing scene, a tip of the hat from one HBO show to another. But I think you can make the argument that this scene actually has a lot more subtext to it. Like The Wire, Deadwood was a show that was ostensibly a genre piece. The Wire was about cops, Deadwood was a western about cowboys. But as anyone who's seen the show will tell you, just like with The Wire, Deadwood was so much more than a simple western series. It's lauded for its historical attention to detail, the superb writing, especially of the Shakespearean-esque eloquence in the profanity, and the strong, nuanced characterization of its ensemble cast. And yet, the guy with the neck brace is simply cackling at a scene saying, haha, he called him cocksucker. That's all he gets from the scene, with the true greatness of Deadwood flying over his head. And literally, you go to any message board about Deadwood, any YouTube video, or anywhere where people are talking about the show, and just like the guy in the hospital, rather than talk about all the amazing things in the show, the depth, the nuance, the poignancy, a lot of people just regurgitate phrases from the show, mainly cocksucker. You won't see much praise for the complexity of the character of Al Swearingen, but you will see a lot of people just repeating cocksucker.
They called him cocksucker.
And in some ways, I think The Wire is taking the piss out of viewers here, taking shots at us uneducated Philistines, us ignorant barbarians who, instead of acknowledging and recognizing the true greatness of such shows, simply point and laugh and say cocksucker, like this donut in the hospital bed. And Deadwood is one such show that succumbed to the low viewership and lack of engagement from audiences, with HBO unable to justify the expenses of the show, and it was subsequently cancelled after 3 seasons, widely considered to be one of the worst cases of shows being cut short. A fate that The Wire very nearly shared. Is this scene David Simon's way of criticising audiences' inability to appreciate a high-quality television show, which caused it to get cancelled? And by extension, is Simon criticising viewers of The Wire who just want to see pew 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 drug wars and police shootouts, not appreciating the giant project he and his team were building? Is Simon airing his frustration that a great show was struggling and eventually killed off because audiences didn't appreciate it, and he very much feared the same thing was about to happen to his show? Or is the cineranter finally starting to crack and run out of ideas, seeing subtext where it doesn't exist? I'll leave that for you to decide in the comments below. Let me know what you think of this scene, and thanks for watching.